Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, episode 8 chapter review. So the first thing that we get to see is Nanao knocking on the door of Captain Sunshi. Sunshi doesn't answer, so Nanao proceeds to walk into the door, where we get to see that Sunshi is actually immersed in a letter that he has been appointed as, the captain of the first division. So he says to Nanao that this might actually be the last time that, you see me. This is a goodbye, a potential goodbye. Quite interesting development. If you know Sinchi, this is something that's actually counter his nature. He, as a leader, he always shies away from the responsibilities of a leader. But now that he's actually been appointed as the captain of the first division, this is the ultimate, responsibility for a leader. So I'm actually interested to see how he's going to handle this particular role. While Swinshi, is not big on leadership, I mean, to be appointed as, the leader of the first division, it speaks volumes about his capabilities, as a captain. So very impressive. But I think we all know that there's just that little thing that Swinshi has, that separates him from the rest of the captains. The next thing that we get to see is Renji and Ichigo finally recover. The spring has done its magic. The guys are all ready now and ready to go to the next island. So the blood demon is actually impressed because in assessing their level of health, he tries to punch both Renji and Ichigo, and he's quite impressed at how the guys were able to handle, his punches. And also it's revealed that the spring, which the guys were getting healed in, it's so powerful that a normal person, it harms them. The body sort of over recovers. So Ichigo and Renji have shown that they've got great strength because they managed to handle not only the punches of the blood demon but also the healing capabilities of this fountain. Next scene, now we see Sunshi at Central 46, right? And he tells them that first order of business, he's already given them a headache, this guy. That number one, I want 2 lieutenants as the leader of, the first division, right? He says to them that I want the 3rd seat because the 3rd seat of captain of the first division knows how to manage, the first division. And I want Nanao because she knows how to handle me, right? Which is a compelling case if you ask me. So, it sort of speaks to the unorthodox leadership style that Sunshi is going to implement in his, tenure or whatever the case may be as the captain of the first division, right? And then his second order of business is that he's going to teach Kenpachi Zanjitsu, right? And then Central 46, one of the members, dude, flips out to say that, dude, we had to tell Old Man Yama that he needs to stop teaching Kenpachi Kendo after just a day, right? Which is just a testament to the strength of Kenpachi, man. I mean, this dude is able to go toe-to-toe with all of the captains just on sheer power. Now, can you imagine once Kenpachi masters something like Zenjutsu, how powerful he's going to be? And then Sunshi's rebuttal to the overreaction of the Central 46 member is that, well, Kuchiki has been taken, right? Renji, Ichigo, and them. We don't know if they're guaranteed to return safely, right? So there's a huge deficit of power in the Soul Society, which is quite true. I mean, they just lost head captain Yamamoto and, the other captains that have left. So it's time to get Kenpachi to the next level and hopefully can cover some ground in terms of, that power deficit. Now, the icing on the cake for this scene, dude, is that the person tasked with training Kenpachi Zenjitsu, it's actually Captain Unohana. Dude, and the reveal of Unohana, it's the sinister look on her face, right? That she's actually the first Kenpachi. And if you think back to Unohana, we've always known that there's just something off about her. Think about, that creepy smile she used to give in the previous sagas of Bleach, right? So to get this reveal is actually quite telling and it fits perfectly with her character. So, yeah, and I'm actually glad that Unohana gets some character development, because for me, I've always wanted to know what is it with this lady. What kind of backstory that she has. So to see that she's gonna get some shine in this saga, quite interesting. Then the next scene we cut to is Ichigo and Renji finally arrive at their second island, which is the island of the Grain King, Kiro, right? So we see her prepare like a storm of food, and we get to see Ichigo and Renji feast Goku style. As the guys are going in, digging in, Ichigo actually says to Renji that, dude, I don't feel quite good, eating while I know that the guys on the ground are actually eating, or the guys are busy, recovering from their injuries. But Renji says, smartly, I was quite impressed by Renji. He says to Ichigo that, dude, can't you clearly see that what's happening here is that we're being prepared for some huge training session? I mean, we just got healed. Now we're being fed food. Obviously, there's going to be some severe training we're going to go under. And then Ichigo, obviously has to agree, because Renji is making quite a good case. And then one of the revelations that we get in this scene is that, Kiro, the Grain King, is the one that invented, the ability to make temporary souls, and also the candy dolls, which Kon uses, these dolls that Ichigo and Rukia use to essentially inhibit the world of the living, right? Hiro also reveals that her method allows for, the increasing of one's spiritual pressure by the use of external means, and that the food that Ichigo and Renji had essentially increases their capabilities. I mean, just a comment from me on that, it's a bit lazy, okay, that Ichigo and Renji's powers are essentially going to be increased by virtue of somebody else. I don't know. Maybe they could have done through training, but I guess to get to the next step, this is how it's supposed to be. And for Renji, man, I wonder if by the end of this saga, if his power is gonna be so grand that he will be comparable with a, like a captain. So yeah, interesting to see. Then of course, sweet and short, Kiro explains to the guys that the next island which they are going to is very unpredictable, right? Which I anticipate this is where the hard training is going to start, and that this island is ruled by the man that invented the Zanpakuto, So yeah, let's see. Hopefully now things can start picking up in the, the Royal Palace, because so far the healing saga as well as the food saga, they were cool, they were sort of breathers, but now it's time for the guys to get on the grind. I want to see how, we get to the next level in terms of power. And then, man, by far, the next scene is my favorite of the entire episode, right? This would be the climax of this episode, dude. If somebody wants to argue that with me, we can fight, dude, right? Obviously, we get to see Unohana and Kenpachi in the Mugen, right? Which is a space where criminals are essentially captured. And this space is said to be endless in terms of the space. And the guys can cut loose in terms of power. Kenpachi can take off his eye patch, and he doesn't have to worry about his spiritual pressure affecting anybody, right? Few words are exchanged, then boom, we get right into it, dude. And I mean, the bloodthirst on the face of Kenpachi and Unohana going back and forth, dude. The two Kenpachis, right? We've got the first one and we've got the current one. And then we get a revelation that Unohana was actually part of the original Goatee squad, right? The original captains appointed by Old Man Yama, and that she's the first Kenpachi, right? She used to be, a notorious criminal, and her name was Yachiru, right? To speak to her mastery of the 8 sword styles. She used to be very good. I mean, to think about, man, Unohana, dude, that she's this powerful, it's very fascinating. I mean, great storytelling if you had to ask me, dude, great storytelling. Then we get an interim cut scene where we see Shunsui, essentially say and confess that when he said that he's going to teach Kenpachi Zanjetsu, he was actually lying, and that he knew that the minute Unohana and Kenpachi exchanged swords, that one of them would have to die, right? And I'm quite sad of this revelation, man. I mean, we just found out that Unohana is the first captain, and potentially she might die, because I don't know how this is going to develop, right? But then if you look at this whole scenario, I'm wondering if Shunsui essentially gambling, dude, to lose one captain with the possibility of, upskilling Kenpachi. So you mean to tell me that Kenpachi is so powerful, if he learns Zenjutsu, he's going to be so powerful that he's going to be strong enough to replace the power of Unohana, a medical ninja, if I may add. So I don't know. I don't think that Unohana is going to die, because from a military perspective, it just doesn't make sense for Unohana to die, man. They need somebody like that. Who's going to take up from Unohana? I mean, you think about losing somebody like Kenpachi. Kenpachi is pure brute. You could always get somebody somewhere in the Soul Society, I could imagine, who's powerful, right? Then we cut back to our scene with Kenpachi and Unohana. I mean, the guys are going back and forth. And to be honest, Captain Unohana has Kenpachi a bit on the ropes, right? To sort of, school him, to say that I'm the original, Kenpachi. And then we get a bit of character building where we see Kenpachi as a kid, admire Unohana as a captain, right? So Unohana manages to step Kenpachi, and she says to him that, I'm happy and impressed that you took off your eye patch, but dude, you're weak, And then Kenpachi blows back. He says to her, I'm weak, but you're the one resorted to these cheap tricks, which is telling. And I tend to agree with Kenpachi, dude. Why aren't we going sword to sword? Why do you have to add these extra things first, Kenpachi? Right? Then Unohana goes for the attack, and it looks like she manages to step Kenpachi, right? And Kenpachi blacks out. I mean, he blacks out, and in his mind, he says that he can't believe that he's going to die without having defeated Unohana. And I mean, this dude, he straight up cries. He straight up cries, dude. Imagine crying for the fact that you don't get to fight somebody, right, and defeat them. And this is where we actually get a flashback of Kenpachi as a child, and he reveals that, seeing Captain Unohana, right, the first Kenpachi, it was the first time where he admired somebody and he wanted to fight like her. And fighting her was the first time he actually felt fear, right? Then, and this is actually, all to realize that this is actually this is happening in Kenpachi's mind. Dude, Kenpachi snaps back and he says that, I've got to take this fight more serious. And dude, we see Kenpachi in this devil-like mode. I mean, just sinister, dude. I mean, Kenpachi at that point doesn't even look like a Shinigami. He just looks like a straight-up devil, dude. To show now that, I'm fully in. It's about to go down, right? And then Unohana, the final moment of the scene, which is Unohana revealing that, Kenpachi is a Raki. Every time you're on the verge of death, you actually get stronger, which is your one flaw and her ultimate sin, right? Of which I wonder what happened, Did Unohana, was this like a pledge that Unohana told Kenpachi that he needs to do, to say that whenever you're in the verge of death, you need to get stronger? But why does it have to be that Kenpachi, man? Why is he like this? I mean, even as a child, think about Kenpachi as a child. How could he have been so ruined, right? And then going back to Yoichiro, right? We obviously, it means that Kenpachi named his lieutenant Yoichiro after the first Kenpachi, which is also quite interesting and adds to the the whole mythology of Bleach saga. But overall, great episode. I'm enjoying Bleach so much, guys. I mean, the pacing is so good. From the previous episode to the next, you can tell that we're making significant progress, and I'm glad that we're moving, but it also doesn't feel too rushed, right? Because with anime, sometimes they have a tendency of falling on one side. The enemy could be a bit too slow, right? You can feel that it's dragging, or it could be a bit too fast that, we don't get any character developments. But overall, solid episode, dude. A 5 out of 5, a 10 out of 10, 100%. That's it for the video, guys. Please leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you enjoyed the most about this episode. Quite epic. And then consider subscribing to the channel if you like the video. I'll check you guys next time.